They say that laughter is the best medicine, a proverb many people have used over the years. But does it hold true in terms of physical and mental health? Or is it a random phrase put together by someone who at some point in time felt rejuvenated after a few chuckles? What makes us laugh in the first place, and how does it put us in a joyful mood even for just a short time? Let's find out. Why do we laugh? What takes place in our brain when we roar with cheerful delight? Are there any benefits to our health? How come we sometimes laugh so hard we end up in tears? What triggers it? Does it pose any life risks? And lastly, is it actually contagious? Stay tuned to find out.
Stop laughing at me!
Hi, and welcome to Fancied Facts, where we give you your regular dose of fun and interesting facts. Laughter, as you know, is the act of laughing, caused by humor either in the form of a joke or a comical situation. Other synonyms to laughter include giggling, chuckling, sniggering, howling, chortling, guffawing, and tittering.
My grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike. It doesn't make any sense what you said. It's a different recipe. It's got nothing to do with macaroni cheese.
Why do we laugh? Typically, when you hear a joke from a friend or watch a funny show on TV, or when you witness something humorous, you might give out a good, hearty laugh. Gelatologists, the people who study laughter and its effects on the body, believe that laughter began as a way of building bonds and to demonstrate peaceful intent with other members of society. It's also thought that a bout of laughter inhibits the biological fight-or-flight response, easing tension in the air and signaling for more trust and possibly friendship. We also laugh as a way to get people's approval in a social environment. When people laugh in a group setting with something considered to be amusing, even when you might not understand, you end up smiling at the very least. Most often than not, it's because you don't want to be rejected by the group and treated negatively. Dr. Robert R. Provine, a professor of neurobiology and psychology at the University of Maryland, thinks that laughter is like a social signal that communicates different messages, much like birds singing to each other. Likewise, other studies confirm that people are 30 times more likely to laugh in social settings than when they're alone. Even nitrous oxide, laughing gas, loses much of its effectiveness when taken in isolation, according to German psychologist Willibald Rusch. What happens physically when you laugh? Although scientists have yet to reach a definitive answer as to where exactly laughter comes from, they believe certain areas in the brain are likely involved in the origin of our merry convulsions. It's been found that different parts of the brain are included in the process of inducing a laugh. Furthermore, neurophysiology, a study of the human nervous system, points out that laughter is correlated with the activation of the ventromedial, which is a part of the prefrontal cortex located in the frontal lobe at the bottom of the cerebral hemispheres, which is responsible for the production of endorphins, the chemicals produced naturally by the nervous system to cope with pain or stress. Scientists also demonstrated elements of the limbic system, which has an assortment of functions that involves emotions, behavior, motivation, long-term memory, and odor perception, also engaged in laughter. Within the limbic system itself, there are three structures linked to laughter. The first is the amygdala, which is an almond-shaped set of neurons found buried in the brain's central temporal lobe. This nutty part of our brain plays a crucial role in our emotions, moods, and other functions related to depression and anxiety. The hippocampus is the second structure linked to fits of ha-ha, which derives its name from Latin, meaning seahorse shape. It plays an essential role in the consolidation of information from short-term memory to long-term. Finally, the medial dorsal nucleus is a part of the thalamus, and its job is to relay motor and sensory signals to the cerebral cortex. Furthermore, the thalamus regulates consciousness, sleep, and alertness. Combined together, the hippocampus, amygdala, and thalamus play an integral role in the conciliating and control of main social activities such as friendship, affection, and expression of emotions. Scientists have identified the hypothalamus and its middle part to be responsible when it comes to loud, uncontrollable laughter.
De lieve woordjes weer. Ja, ik vind dus dat dit echt niet kan hoor. Ik bedoel, maar nee, maar...
Are there health benefits to laughter? Laughter provides a sense of positivity which is often psychologically tied to well-being. A bright outlook aside, there is actual scientific evidence that supports the notion that a laugh a day may keep the doctor away a bit longer. According to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, laughter has been shown to lead to reductions in stress hormones like cortisol and epinephrine. It delivers a safety valve that closes off the flow of stress hormones and the fight-or-flight chemical mixture that jumps into action in our bodies when we experience stress, fury, or aggression. These stress hormones weaken our immune system and increase the number of blood platelets, the tiny blood cells that form clots to stop bleeding. However, in the case of stress, they can cause blockage in the arteries and raise blood pressure. Laughing accelerates the number of antibody-producing cells and enhances the effectiveness of T cells, our guardians that destroy any cell infected with germs or when it becomes cancerous. Another group of cells that get the boost treatment from laughter are B cells, which create antibodies that circulate and bind to antigens, foreign bodies, to kill them. All of this overall leads to a stronger and more effective immune system. According to the University of Maryland, a study of 2,000 people found that individuals with heart disease were 40% less likely to laugh and be able to recognize humor in a variety of situations compared to people of the same age without heart disease. Laughter increases our body's tolerance to pain because it triggers the brain to release endorphins, which are our body's natural painkiller. Furthermore, researchers estimated that laughing 100 times is equal to 10 minutes on a rowing machine or 15 minutes on an exercise bike. A study in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine found that 3 60-minute laughter therapy sessions improved the depression and negative mood states of cancer patients.
And me and my mom,
Why do we cry when laughing hard?
But we're just gonna sing for you. I'm gonna sing for you right now.
Okay.
I cry in the midnight hour, yeah. You heard my cry. You brought up all of my tears. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was good. That was excellent. I was excellent. You know, Oh, look at it. I certainly did enjoy that. Oh, it broke me up. Oh, thank you. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Oh, go ahead.
The sight of tears is more likely to get people to think that a person might be upset about something. However, when someone laughs really hard, they may tear up quite a bit, but that's not because they're sad. Quite the opposite. It's because they feel extreme joy. Experts studying this condition haven't correctly figured it out, but they're making progress. Yale University psychologist Dr. Oriana Aragon headed a research study that looked at why we experience specific physical reactions to emotional circumstances. Her team called these physical reactions, like crying and nervous laughter, dimorphous expressions. According to Dr. Aragon, we cry while laughing hard because our body's trying to regulate itself in response to strong emotions. Others believe when laughing your socks off, there's extreme pressure around the tear duct as a result of vigorous shaking due to loud, howling laughs. These types of tears are called reflex tears. They're released when your eyes are irritated due to foreign bodies entering the eyes like eyelashes or the gases released from a freshly cut onion. These are different from emotional tears, which are released during sadness or anxiety. Others speculate that the crying part is a mere feeling of catharsis, relief from strong or repressed emotions, and they stem from the same place which attracts stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. Therefore, during gut-pounding laughter, our body attempts to release excess amounts of these hormones, so we release laughing tears. What triggers laughter? Gelotologists studying laughter offer up several theories on what could trigger people into having a giggling fit.
Forget it.
First up is the superiority theory, which relates the occurrence of laughter to a joke or situation which is about someone else's unlucky circumstance or absurdness. We feel superior to that person because we feel smarter and luckier than they are. So we experience a level of disconnect from the funny condition. Therefore, we're able to laugh.
I say it's duck season, and I say fire!
There's also the irrational theory, which proposes that laughter is prompted when we're presented with a dilemma that extremely defies logic. Researcher Thomas Veitch mentioned that when a joke begins, our mind starts to draw a diagram on what's going to occur and how it'll end. Expectations occur in the form of logical thoughts tangled with emotion and are influenced by our past experiences and our thought methods. Consequently, when the joke goes into a surprising route, our thoughts and feelings abruptly have to change gears. Thus, we have new emotions and thoughts mixing with old ones at the same time. We find our experience of different elements of an untenable situation as humorous. Then we have the benign violation theory. This theory was developed by Peter McGraw, a psychology professor and the director of the Humor Research Lab at the University of Colorado. Yes, a humor lab. The good professor says the humor occurs when and only when two conditions apply at the same moment. 1. A situation is a violation, and 2. It is benign. The violation part is relating to anything that challenges your concepts and understanding about the world. For example, if you tell the president you're going to roast him, it will not end well for you, as it's a violation of the president's safety and possibly his life. So the benign part is when the outcome doesn't result in harm to anyone. It turns out it's just a comedian making a joke, and because the president is heavily protected by Secret Service. Therefore, it's benign because it would be absolutely absurd for him to even think it. Thus, it had to be a joke. Finally, there's the relief theory. When a difficult or tense situation has been built up to a boiling point, then, and just as when things are about to turn worse, comedy is inserted to relieve this bent-up emotion. It can often result in sudden, abrupt laughter.
Enough! You are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Puny god.
Can laughter kill you? We all enjoy a good chuckle now and then. However, is it possible for someone to meet their demise from laughing too much? Unfortunately, yes. If one isn't wise enough to avoid such a circumstance.
Keep it up! You're killing him! You're slaying him! You're knocking him dead!
People with brain aneurysm, for instance, are at higher risk if they're not aware of their condition. In brief, a brain aneurysm is when a part of an artery's wall weakens and widens, creating a bulge or ballooning with the potential to leak or burst, causing a hemorrhagic stroke, a bleeding into the brain. While laughing, the cranium or skull become pressured, and that can put stress on the aneurysm. People do survive ruptured aneurysms quite frequently, yet if the aneurysm is large enough, it can cause massive bleeding, putting incredible pressure on the brain, which cuts off the oxygen supply, causing either a coma or swift death. Another possible risk factor is when a person is in syncope, which is a medical term for fainting or passing out. This happens due to a momentary drop in the volume of blood flow to the brain. Syncope can also take place as a result of a sudden drop in heart rate, blood pressure, or changes in the volume of blood in areas of your body. If someone with a heart condition has a syncope episode triggered by excessive laughter, it could possibly lead to sudden cardiac arrest. People afflicted with this could also faint and hit their head and sustain severe injury. Is laughter contagious? Okay, here's the thing. Many of our emotions and actions are in fact contagious, including laughter. And this is primarily due to synchronization effects. It means when a group of people hear loud, hilarious laughter, their brains become synchronized and start to laugh together. A study from Aalto University in Finland used an fMRI, functional magnetic resonance, to look at individuals' brains while they're shown brief, enjoyable, neutral, and terrible movies. They found that strong and unpleasant feelings synchronized participants' emotional processing networks in the frontal and midline regions of the brain, while highly exciting movies synchronized activity in brain networks supporting vision, attention, and sense of touch. Lori Numanmaa, a Finnish psychologist from Aalto University in Finland, mentioned that sharing others' emotional states provides the observers a somatosensory and neural framework that facilitates understanding others' intentions and actions and allows to tune in or sync with them. Such automatic tuning facilitates social interaction and group processes. Another study from the Imperial College in London, published in the Journal of Neuroscience, demonstrated a possible mechanism for contagious laughter, and that is positive sounds. When people giggle, which triggers a response in the region of the listener's brain that becomes activated when we smile, as if preparing facial muscles to laugh. Dr. Sophie Scott, a senior research fellow at the Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience, stated that we've known for some time now that when we're talking to someone, we often mirror their behavior, copying the words they use and mimicking their gestures. Now we've shown that the same appears to apply to laughter too, at least at the level of the brain. Researchers at the Institute played 2 different types of sounds using the fMRI scanner to measure volunteers' brain responses. Uplifting sounds like laughter or triumph, and undesirable ones such as yelling and coughing. The sounds activated a reaction in the premotor cortical region of the brain, which prepares facial muscles to act accordingly. The results for positive sounds were noticeably higher than the negative ones. This suggests that the positive sounds are more contagious. Researchers think this explains why we respond to laughter or cheering with an involuntary smile. Dr. Sophie Scott further commented that we usually encounter positive emotions, such as laughter or cheering, in group situations, whether watching a comedy program with family or a football game with friends. This response in the brain, automatically priming us to smile or laugh, provides a way of mirroring the behavior of others, something which helps us interact socially. It could play an important role in building strong bonds between individuals in a group. Speaking of contagious laughter, have you heard about the story of the laughing epidemic of Tanganyika, that's modern-day Tanzania? It was 1962 when 3 schoolgirls who were studying at a boarding school in a village started to laugh. The laughter continued until it gradually got worse to the point where the girls began to tear up. Symptoms of heavy laughter spread. By now, 95 of the boarding school's 159 students were affected, and it just got worse and worse to the point that the school had to be shut down. When it finally reopened, 50 students started to laugh again. The laughter affected nearby villages, and the hysteria marched forward. When the laughter finally ceased, 2.5 years later, it had affected more than 1,000 people. Now we know that contagious laughter can occur among complete strangers in a group setting, which reiterates Ella Wheeler Wilcox, an American author and poet, when she said, "Laugh and the world laughs with you." This brings us to the end of this episode of Fancied Facts. Don't forget to push the like button, subscribe, and activate the bell for any future videos. See you soon, and take care.